confirmation bias and scorched earth Cameron incoming, because I'm desperately invested in a levelling of the competitive landscape as far as F1's concerned. And I think we might be about to get something that looks like that, especially in stark contrast to what we've been receiving and seeing hitherto over the past 36 months. Because for the avoidance of doubt, Red Bull have been dominant, unlike any other team in F1 history. Levels, killing each and every single one of those teams that have tried to challenge it. No one has come close. RB20 is the most dominant machine in F1 that we have ever seen. That's the truth. The numbers stack up. However, sometimes it's death by 1,000 pinpricks, right? Sometimes you just don't see it coming. And as I peruse the F1 news landscape, all I'm hearing and seeing from Red Bull and related parties is problems. Max Verstappen, for all of his god-tier driving, made a mistake this weekend past in qualifying. That is not like him. Lando Norris in better machinery couldn't wrestle a victory from Max Verstappen at the previous Grand Prix, could he? So what's changed then? Are these problems true, or are they over-egging it? Well, I think there is substance to this. And I think Max Verstappen's mistake is testament to that. Because Max Verstappen doesn't tend to make very many mistakes, does he? But the car was so difficult to set up, so difficult to drive around its difficulty curbing, that he ended up pushing it too hard in Sector 1. Sector 1 was their only hope of putting it on pole, because Sector 2 being so undulating and bumpy, Max Verstappen and Christian Horner knew that they had no chance of purple sectoring it there. Oscar Piastri and Charles Leclerc in their McLaren and their Ferrari respectively were always going to be quicker than Max Verstappen in his Red Bull in Sector 2, materially so. And that's what played out, wasn't it, ultimately? They need to fix for this. Max Verstappen, though, is saying that there might not be a fix, or at the very least, as at May 2024, that the Red Bull aeros and tech boffins, they don't understand how to do it. Motorsport reporting today that Max Verstappen says that they clearly don't understand the F1 bump weakness. Now, Mark Hughes of The Race put together a brilliant piece on their latest podcast, of course, talking about the lateral stiffness of the suspension, and that this doesn't lend itself well for the curb riding that Monaco Grand Prix necessitates if indeed you are to go purple. Motorsport continues. Max Verstappen says that his Red Bull Formula 1 team clearly doesn't understand its struggles in Monaco, and they have largely carried over from previous 2 seasons. It has been masked hitherto. Nobody's got close enough to pull at these vulnerabilities. Not yet, at least. But McLaren and Ferrari are coming, aren't they? In the hands of Lando and Oscar and Charles and Carlos, they are absolutely in the ascendancy. Now, if we're truth-saying and trying to predict the future, the trend is your friend until there is a bend, right? And I feel like this, as at May 2024, might be a tipping point. Death by 1,000 prick points, right? Motorsport continues, but the fact that Red Bull still hasn't been able to solve its struggles has sent some alarm bells ringing, because according to Max Verstappen, that shows that the Milton Keynes base squad still doesn't understand how to fix it. Quote, "It is a fundamental problem," says Max Verstappen. So it's not something that will be fixed within weeks. We need to understand what it is, because we clearly don't understand it as at now. But we will work hard to find the problem and then try to get rid of it. I don't know if we can do it this year, but hopefully next year. Oh, the humanity hybrid. What have we did? Like, this is bonkers. Fix next year. Is that what we're doing here at Red Bull? The balls that are red. Blimey. I think if we're to take Max Verstappen at his word, I think they might have an issue. The balls that are red, Houston, we have a problem. Max Verstappen continues. Any track that is bumpy or you have to ride a lot of curbs, so the street circuits will probably be a little bit tricky, but hopefully by then We have a little bit of understanding as to what's going on. There are some races that will suit our car again, but we know where we have to work on. There's one clear direction, continues Max Verstappen, where I think we're still lacking quite a bit of performance. So if we can fix that, our car will be better in general on every single track. Oh, the humanity. What are we doing, hybrid? This is bonkers. And I think you're right about Oscar. So too can you parlay that sentiment into Lando and Carlos and Charles. It's a cacophony. It's a symbiosis of many variables coming together, right? Death by 1,000 prick points. Adrian Newey leaving. Christian about to sign Sergio Checo Perez on a multi-year deal. There are a multiple of factors coming together to influence, to make out for what hopefully will be a competitive season between now and season to date. Check this out though. Helmut Marko, writing for Speed Week, has said different things to Max Verstappen, although equally damning as far as Red Bull's possibility, their hopes for winning another Constructors and Drivers' Championship. Marku says that we had a lot more trouble riding curbs, but we played the kangaroo. It adapted relatively. However, Max made a mistake owing to the fact that he had to try and outdrive the car in Sector 1. This is chaos. I'm here for it. What's going on? Living on the edge. This is exactly what I needed to see. They have problems. And listen, I don't want to over-egg this, do you know what I mean? Temper your enthusiasm ever so slightly, Cameron. I'm not sure that they won't come back and destroy the field at Canada. Not as bumpy is that track as Monaco. So surely you would expect an element, a portion at least, of mean reversion. Surely. But I think this bodes well. They are experiencing problems. Helmut Marko continues. In addition, Max Verstappen tried to get the best from sector 1. In addition, he tried the best possible time in the first sector. The problem starts in the simulator. Here we go. This bit's important. A correlation. Because again, as far as developing a car, we know that you need in real life versus simulator correlation. Helmut Marko says, consultant of Red Bull GmbH, the problem starts in the simulator, which signalled that the car was riding the curbs perfectly. Simply put, that means that simulator and reality don't correlate. Is this Mercedes or is this Red Bull? What are we talking about? And Monaco wasn't the first racetrack where we had this problem. It was the first time that it was relatively severe in Singapore. The simulator spat out something that didn't correspond to reality. That's the first point that we'll need to address. Though we're optimistic, we can find out what the simulator produces, its data, and why it doesn't correspond to the reality. Montreal, though, critically, could similarly be a difficult weekend for us. Let's go. Come on. And I don't want to relish in Max Verstappen's downfall, but surely if we are invested as a fan base in a levelling of the competitive landscape, then a lot of us will be rejoicing at this. Finally, Red Bull have happened upon problems, serious ones, that they're going to need to struggle to solve for. Let's run through them. The car's not great. Max Verstappen's not happy. There is discontent within the team. Christian Horner, again, lingering the backwash of the allegation gate. Christian Horner owes Checo Perez a debt of gratitude and is about to sign him on a multi-year contract. This is poor low-level decision-making. And again, all of this simultaneous with the rest of them coming. McLaren are coming. So too Ferrari. I went away and listened to Andrea Stella on the Beyond the Grid podcast. People have been recommending me this podcast for a while, just so I understand the true metal of the McLaren team principle. Because I didn't think McLaren were going to be the ones to challenge Red Bull. Didn't think they had the personnel. And of course, personnel is what drives your success in F1. We've said that on a gazillion occasions, right, hybrid? If the wing gap at the end in Canada is about 7 seconds or less, Mark, we have ourselves a season, especially if Checo bottles it again. Checo will bottle it again, hybrid. At the moment, his form is insurmountable. You can't U-turn it. Not just yet, at least. So check this out. Go and listen to the Beyond the Grid podcast, Andrea Stella. I'm not even finished through it yet, but he said a couple of things and I'm mightily impressed by that team principle. Firstly, I didn't know about his history. Sometimes success and market-leading talent breeds success and market-leading talent, right? So first, listen to this. Andrea Stella was race engineer between 2003 and 2005. Michael Schumacher in that Ferrari. Chaos, the winningest driver in F1 history. Like, how do you not learn stuff from Michael Schumacher then? That's who Andrea Stella is. Shortly thereafter, went over to Alonso. Like, he has race engineered Alonso at Ferrari. And also, by the way, for the avoidance of doubt, worked with Brawn. This is like Mount Rushmore of F1. This is who Andrea Stella has been rubbing shoulders with. Listen to him in the Beyond the Grid podcast and how he talks. He's not looking to chase upgrades. Tom Clarkson asked the question, how did you make the car so much quicker at McLaren? Like, what did you solve for? What were the weaknesses of the car? Andrea Stella responds, and this is what had me so impressed. Like, I think McLaren has serious power underneath Andrea Stella because he gets it. He understands people. He understands processes. Those two are the things that are going to get you over the line in an F1 season. Check out Andrea Stella's response. He says, you know what? We weren't chasing a particular upgrade. We weren't looking to make the car faster. What's important is that you implement the conditions under which those improvements can sprout. Who is this chap? Who is he talking like this? Pep Guardiola of F1? Like, what is going on? I was super impressed listening to that dude. Incredible settings. He's not focused on outcomes. He's focused on instituting robust processes as McLaren team principle. And that, for me, peddlers, is absolute chaos. Super impressed. Shouldn't be chasing lap time, no. That's nonsense and fool's gold. And that's what concerns me, having that dude at the helm if you are a Red Bull fan. Because McLaren are coming. They have a pioneering leader at their helm. And I think that gap between now and the end of the season is only going to close up. You're a legend, little grey squirrel. It's going to close, I'm telling you. We are seeing convergence in real time, not to mention the CFD, not to mention the wind tunnel settings. That gap is going to close. Max Verstappen is a truthsayer and he can only talk to truth. If they are having problems, Max Verstappen is going to tell you, as he has been all weekend at the Monaco Grand Prix, right? Problems, curb riding, team issues, goal cohesiveness or congruence even. Mate, death by 1,000 pricks. Here's hoping that they can turn it around. But whilst I'm invested in the competitive landscape of F1, I don't mind if Red Bull undergo experience and problems that they have to solve for in real time. Everybody else has. I'm not going to go full hyperbole and cry the end of an era. Not just yet, at least. But what we need for F1 in 2024, mate, is competition. And thankfully, it looks like that's what we're going to get. But I digress.